Namaste, it's Michelle Skaletski-Boyd, intuitive medium and best-selling author. How do you move through grief so that you're not crying all the time, your face isn't hurting, you aren't feeling those waves just pick you up and you feel like you're never going to be able to get through it? So many of you know that I recently lost a pet. Now, I had not gone through grief in a long, long time, to the point where I had forgotten how when it sweeps you, it's like a wave. It takes you down and you're out for a while, or out of nowhere, you just start crying because you remember your loved one so dearly. So we all know logically that our loved one's in a better place. We all know logically that they're no longer hurting or in pain or whatever their situation was. Maybe you're in shock yet, or you haven't connected with an intuitive medium, etc. And so you're not quite there. But for this video, I want to talk specifically to those of you who logically get that your loved one's in another place, that things are going well. You might have even gotten a sign at this point or dreamt about your loved one. But you keep getting swept by these undercurrents of emotions that bring you down, and you're starting to feel bouts of depression. So what do you do then? So if you've cried and you've taken at least 3 days, a week, depending on how quickly you can process this, or how much you've given yourself permission to feel your feelings after your loved one has been honored, has been celebrated, has been either cremated or put in the ground, I'd like for you to recognize that this time period where you're in, your body, even though you think you're okay, it's very normal for you to still make some crazy mistakes, okay? For example, when my mom lost her mother, I remember watching her. It had been about a week. She was starting to go back to work, but she still wasn't herself, to the point where I watched her put the milk in the cupboard and the cereal in the refrigerator and walk away. She just didn't realize it. So we're offline, where a part of us has died along with our loved one. And you know what I mean if you're going through this, okay? So the question becomes, do we keep crying? Do we keep grieving? Do we keep ourselves in this depressed state? So I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the law of attraction. So many of you know that there was Esther and Jerry Hicks for a long time, and then Jerry died. And now there's just Esther Hicks channeling as of the time of this recording. And many people have since asked Esther to channel Abraham and to talk specifically around grief. And Esther was talking with this woman in one of her videos. You might have seen it. And the woman had lost her husband. And the woman was talking about how terrible it is and how awful this feeling of grief is. And she had a lot of fears and worries about her future. And Abraham said, why are you focusing specifically on whether or not you're going to be able to financially afford things, whether or not your life can go on without this person? Why are you not telling us the whole truth? And this person was a little bit taken back, like, what do you mean? And Abraham pointed out, there are also benefits to your loved ones being gone. And you're not focusing on those things at all. And the reason why we don't focus on those things is because societally we're told we're not supposed to. We're supposed to grieve. We're supposed to feel bad. And so she starts pointing out to this woman the fact that she no longer has to think about cooking meals for her husband, who is more particular and finicky about his meals. She no longer has to worry about his anal tendencies when it comes to doing the dishes or things being put back in a certain way. So there's some freedom that goes along with independence. So I got to thinking about my loved one in terms of my fur baby, and I was thinking, yeah, my other dog seems to actually be enjoying the fact that he has more room now in our vehicles. He can stretch out more. He's getting extra attention. He's getting the majority of the leftovers now instead of having to split them and share them. So there's always going to be upside. So first of all, where are you focusing? Okay, I get that you miss your loved one. I get that there's an empty space. However, are you focusing there more than you are focusing on some of the upsides that it brings? So that's the first thing. The second thing is it's true that if you keep busy, that it can be helpful to a certain extent. If you haven't given yourself permission to cry, to grieve, to mourn, to feel these feelings, then this could be you not really living in the now or the present moment. You're kind of in denial. But if you've already gone through that, then I do suggest that you start interacting, putting yourself back into society again. Volunteer, if that's what you need to do. Go to the gym, go out with a friend, begin to move in a way that's going to start to integrate you back into society once again, be it your job, etc. And the other thing is that it's really, really important to continue to honor your loved ones, celebrate them by saying their name. So my pet's name was Jasmine, and Jasmine was beautiful, and I want to share this quick story with you. So when Jasmine passed, as many of you saw in my last video, we were in Sedona, we were traveling. What was beautiful about this is not only were we grieving and we were mourning, but we were also knowing that we were in a beautiful space in terms of vortexes. So we knew that somehow Jasmine was going to let us know that she was okay. And sure enough, we were guided through my intuition to go to this place called Boynton Pass. And so that's what we did. We went up and we were underneath this beautiful rock known as the Kachina. And as we were under the Kachina, we were we're holding hands and saying a prayer and holding intentions, and I began to channel. And this beautiful channel song came from my heart and said something along the lines of, look up in the sky, I'm always with you, open your eyes now. And we all did. And we looked up into the sky, and there was this formation of clouds like everywhere, and then between these formations of big clouds was this tiny little cloud, and the cloud began to move, and it began to shift, almost like the wind was only blowing on this cloud. It was really, really beautiful. And my husband, who was sobbing and crying, he says, oh my gosh, look, she's running. She's running again. Now, you guys remember her back legs, she was starting to lose mobility. It was really sad. She loved to run. And so there's this cloud now in the form of a dog running across the sky. And my husband is the first to see it, who, by the way, has never been able to see formations and clouds before. I've always loved to do this, but he's never been able to see it. He actually saw it, which was really a miracle in itself. And so now this beautiful, beautiful image of this dog who's running shows us freedom, and it begins to move around again with the wind, and I'm continuing to sing and to channel, and I'll always love you, and I'm just shifted forms as something like what I'm saying. And now the clouds form this beautiful heart, and underneath the heart is a picture of a German Shepherd with beautiful ears and just kind of like showing us I'm with you, and I love you, and I always will. And my daughter and my husband and myself, we looked up, we saw the heart, we saw this beautiful message, and we knew without a doubt that our dog is in a beautiful, beautiful place, that she's always with us, that she's looking over us. And then just like that, boom, all the clouds were gone. Like the clouds that were there literally dissipated into thin air, and now it was just blue skies and these two bundles of clouds on either side of it. It was so pretty, pretty. And so if you haven't gotten a sign from your loved one, I will say that the only reason that occurred, the only reason we could do that is because we lifted our vibration. I just spit as I talked. We lifted our vibration. And how we did that is, instead of staying in grief and sadness and mourning and discouragement and hopelessness, we actually held hands and we began to lift our vibration, lift our energy. So if you haven't gone through my Be Your Own Intuitive Medium videos, they're all free. They're here on YouTube. I highly recommend that you do that. Learn how to lift your vibration so that you can be in the same energetic frequency as your loved one, who is no longer in matter, who's no longer in physical form. You need to know how to lift your vibration so that they can actually connect with you and communicate with you, which is why many times people need to come to you when you're dreaming, when you're in a dream state, when you're in that theta vibration, because you're not in this everyday busy mind chatter or worry or grief mode. So as always, enjoy the experience, everybody, and thank you so much walking the path with me.